Hey guys, welcome to the episode. It's the first episode of 2022. I hope you guys do enjoy the episode. We had the pleasure of having Omran Omer on. We spoke about his calligraphy journey, fitness, health, everything you guys are going to love. A bit about traveling for 2022. I hope you guys enjoy.
And, you know, it was like you're in front of me. And I go, Assalamu alaikum. He says, Assalamu alaikum, akhi. I was like, my name's Omran. And he was about to say his name. I said, yes, Haytham Salmo. And he's like, Naam, ta'arifni, like in Arabic. Do you know me?
Yeah, I know me.
I was like, who doesn't know you, Sheikh?
Yeah.
Who doesn't know you? I was like, you're one of the biggest calligraphers in the world. He's like, la. He's very humble. And a lot of calligraphers you'll find are very humble. He's like, it's a pleasure to meet you. I was like, likewise. It's like, tomorrow we'll start work, right? And I told him I just mentioned to him to have a little background in calligraphy. And he's like to me, okay, beautiful. Tomorrow you can show me. You know, things about motivation, things about.
So you like motivation and stuff,
yeah.
discipline.
Discipline.
Because I know you did the
that.
Wim Hof video that we'll touch on later.
Oh,
like
yeah,
that
was
kind of like breathing video.
Yeah.
So
I
who
do
do
a
you
lot of
like?
that stuff away from the camera.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's like, for me, like, it was an idea. Some of my friends like, why don't you just make a video? I was like, oh, man, I don't know.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't know about that. I know you wanted to make videos, bro. Yeah.
Honestly, like, it's like, I try, like, the thing is with the videos, it's so, you guys probably experience this, it's so awkward
Yeah.
to talk to a camera.
It is.
Because you're like, who am I
By
talking
yourself.
to, right? Imagine you're just like sitting, like, we're speaking here, it's fine.
Mm.
When you're speaking to a camera, like, who am I speaking to?
Like that's your
Mm.
mate
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
And like, so,
Were you doing it out in public as well?
yeah, out in public, yeah.
That's probably the weirdest one as well. Doing it one-on-one is one thing, but
Yeah.
taking it like, have you recorded vlogs before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a few vlogs in that video.
Yeah.
Like a few
The
vlogs.
breathing one, yeah, I think I've seen
Yeah.
that one. It's also people like, it's not a normal thing nowadays. I think at least in Australia, people have it normalized. I think if you go to like LA or something like that,
You'll see people with the cameras.
because everyone's
That's
like
true.
an influencer basically.
Yes.
But here in Melbourne, it's like the fact that you're holding a camera like this and someone looking at you.
People look at you. Yeah. That's
What
true.
happened when you went to the restaurant? You took a vlogging camera and we're telling us that food.
Because I've been thinking of doing vlogging and
Yeah,
stuff.
beautiful.
But that same hesitant feeling that you've been
Yeah,
getting,
yeah,
I'm going through that as well. But anyway, every time I take a vlogging camera
yeah.
to any restaurant, I'm always getting free food. To the point sometimes
That's the best.
That's sick.
That's epic.
now sometimes at some points, like I didn't even plan to record a vlog. I just bring the camera from the
Yeah.
Just pretend. Yeah.
yeah. I remember once we were rolling the camera or something, and the lady saw rolling the camera. We were just doing like a mukbang basically.
Yep.
Anyway, she kept on going back and forth, and she works there. She kept
Yep.
on going back and forth. And at the end, she just like peeped her head in, and she just brought food
Okay.
just so she can be in the video. I'm like,
Mm.
wow,
That's the best.
I must start
Yeah.
doing this more often.
Why not?
I had some things like that because I took so many takes when I was doing this video.
Yeah.
I actually done the second video, right?
Yeah.
You did?
So the second
Okay.
video, I never uploaded it. So I was on, and kids come up to you,
Yeah.
oh, YouTuber, and then I'm
Yeah.
like, man, I'm not a YouTuber, but all right. And it's like, how many followers you got? 100. So you do get a lot of people asking you things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
Be awkward.
Would you want to get back
Which
into
is-
that?
Yeah, I'd want to do it. Definitely, it's not my priority list, but
Yeah.
I think I'd want to do it.
For sure.
I think you should.
I
but-
did it to experience. I wanted to see how, like, what it takes to make a video.
Mm.
That's more.
Did you feel uncomfortable in that process making?
Yes, but when I put it all together, I was happy with it.
You're proud, yeah.
I was
So
proud.
That's
I
that's
was
the
like,
mad
you know
feeling.
what?
At the
I
end,
was
you're like,
I
yeah.
put it together, and I edited it by myself.
Okay, yeah.
Nice.
Subhanallah.
I learned.
Takes
So
a while.
it's when you try new things, like you learn
Mm.
something out of it.
On the go.
And some things you might think the editing, like, oh, that looks so difficult. How did that YouTuber do it? And you figured it out. It's like, that wasn't that hard.
That wasn't that bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Mm.
All right. Did you want to go?
Oh, he still hasn't answered like who did he listen to with these podcasts and stuff. Like you
Yeah.
said,
Oh,
the
the
health.
health-
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Biggest thing.
Yeah.
There's a podcast, Tom Bailey of Impact Theory and Health Theory.
Yeah.
Bro, that's one
I
of the
love.
top ones.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
We all listen to
I've listened to all these episodes,
Yeah, yeah.
and since I've been following him for a long time.
Do you have a
as well.
favorite from his?
A favorite
Or
from
like
his?
one or
yeah,
two that-
probably
Trevor Moore, I feel like.
Dr. Joe Dispenza.
No.
Yeah.
I haven't
Okay.
heard that one. I've seen
Okay.
the thumbnail.
He's one of my favorite like characters or
Mm.
doctors in the field.
Yeah.
He holds retreats and things like that, and teaching people how to use their mind to heal themselves from
Yeah.
disease, from different things they go through.
Mm.
Have you read his book? Are you a
No,
big reader?
I don't
Okay.
read books
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Like,
Impact Theory.
I've had
Okay.
this like, I had this book. This is how much I don't. I bought this book. I'm like, I'm gonna read this book
Yeah.
because everyone talks about reading books. Like, you gotta
Mm.
read books. You gotta
Mm.
read books.
Yeah.
and it's just been in my bag like for so long, for about like 6 months. I read a little bit when I'm on the plane. Blah, blah, blah.
You like
It's
the idea of the book?
Huh?
You like the idea of that
Yeah,
book?
I like the idea of the book, but I never opened the book.
Yeah, yeah,
Look,
sure.
the-
I like to listen to things, speak to people, talk to people.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure.
Books is just one way to learn, and there's
Yeah.
like 5, 6, 7 different types of ways, or thousands of ways. It's just really what you resonate with, and especially like if you're on the road, podcasts are easy,
Yep.
and you kind of like sometimes you read a book and you read 300 pages and only 20 were actually important.
Yes.
But a podcast in 45 minutes hit the nail on the head.
Agreed.
You might not remember it as much as reading a book, but there's pros and cons to everything.
Yeah, 100%. I think like the idea of this, I think people talk about books being so important. I think before all this social media stuff,
Mm.
we had videos and things like that.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
Okay.
The books are still good because anyway, you like all the histories in books as well.
Yeah.
That's where knowledge is. Like Islamic knowledge. What do people say?
Of course.
If you don't know Arabic, you can't really study the deen. Why is that? Because it's all in Arabic books, text, So let's
Yeah.
go, Ali. What do you got?
All right, so I've got some icebreaker questions. We'd like
All
to
right,
get
so
to know you quickly, just before we
Eee.
start hearing about your journey.
Yep.
So we've seen, obviously, done some research on you. You've traveled a lot of places. Mashallah, we'll dive into that soon.
Alhamdulillah.
So I want to know,
Wayfarer.
I want you to recommend one country that for people to visit and to live in.
And to live in both.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it has
Oh,
to- has
actually,
to
you
have-
do one visit, one live.
Unless they're the same answer.
Exactly, unless that country's
Yeah.
that good.
look, visit. I'll straight away. I'll say Turkey.
Okay.
Okay.
I love Turkey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's so vast,
Yeah.
so rich in history,
Oh, history's rich.
so much to see, and my bias of calligraphy and the arts.
Gotcha.
And if you guys been to Turkey, you know. Like, and there's so many. Like, you can go to Istanbul, where it's a busy city. You can go to Antalya, where it's like beach.
More laid
Go to
back.
Budrom, with the views and things like
Yeah.
that. So Turkey is a huge.
Can I
one.
ask why you didn't say live?
Live because I've never lived. Like,
I
I stayed there for about 4 months,
That's a
but I've
long
never
time.
lived there.
Mm.
And if I've never lived there, I think I can't.
Isn't
I
4
can't-
months like
Yeah.
living?
I mean, nah. I think like living in Saudi Arabia now.
Yeah.
I realized like the first 3 months I was on holiday. Like, I was just on
True.
holiday.
True. I
So
can
you
think
don't
of that.
Until you really experience the
Yeah.
country and
Gotcha.
like understand what it means to live there. Until you like let go of Australia being home and things like that.
And that usually takes
Mm.
longer than 3 months, basically.
Yeah, I feel so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
And
about
in Turkey? Like in Turkey, I always felt like I was on holiday.
Mm.
So I was
Even I don't know. Do you speak Turkish?
like I can say like
Yavrum benim.
Kashbara,
Yeah. Because you don't.
Nasılsın? Yeah.
We'll,
Things like
we'll
that.
touch on languages, but you don't get a feel of the country unless you speak the language.
True.
You can only go so far because like you're limited. You're learning through someone's second language or third language.
Mhm.
Okay. How about living? What comes to
Living?
mind?
So far, Melbourne. I like because I haven't like between Saudi Arabia and Melbourne, 2 places I've lived. To live, I'd say Melbourne.
Okay, why?
The biggest reason I'd say is because
Other than coffee.
coffee's
Yeah.
a big one. But I think the presence of sort of equal opportunity in Melbourne, in Australia,
Okay.
where like we're such a multicultural society,
Mm-hmm.
where there's no that statuses and
Hierarchy.
different like hierarchies and things like that.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that gives a person like
Gotcha.
more opportunity to go after what they want.
Yeah, yeah.
It makes it easy.
Did you come to this opinion after you had traveled to different countries and lived there?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's in your thought, yeah. I'd agree to that.
Mm.
Wallah.
Interesting.
Okay.
Okay, so also, if you could go out to dinner with any people, dead or alive, who would it be?
2 people
Yeah. Besides the prophet.
besides the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi
Yeah.
That's
Wasallam. 2 people that are alive. Who would it be?
If you need time to think about it, we can give like one answer each. Unless something comes to mind straight away.
Yeah, maybe go for the
Yeah.
answers.
Or me? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Now I'm stuck. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Do you guys
Dead or alive.
have any?
One thing is like when he had a guest last week and he said the same person. I said like Malcolm X, because I'd love to just talk to him because obviously he passed away at 39, but he made a difference like that we still talk about. He died in 1965. We still talk about him today, and he made a difference with really only being like a Muslim for like 5 to 8 years, and we're talking about him 65 years later.
That's
like,
huge.
How did that happen?
How
You know,
did-
or
yeah.
55 years
Yeah.
later. How did that happen? How do you make a difference? How do you really make change? Educating yourself. Because he always talks about educating himself, reading, learning. It's like, but in what areas? What's important? Also, like the power of speech,
That's true.
because he talks about the importance, but not how to get there. because he's limited. He was there for 5, 8 years, 10 years. So I'd love to kind of ask him about that kind of thing, you know?
I like
Have
the
you?
answer. I think I got one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uthman Taha. I think I'd love to meet him. He's alive.
Okay.
He's the one who wrote the Quran with his hand.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's,
wow.
actually, someone told me, I don't know if this is true, but he got his Saudi citizenship
Recently?
last week or something recently.
Subhanallah.
Okay.
So after many years. I
Okay.
think,
How hard would it be? Because 6 degrees of separation, he is alive. How hard would it be, do you think, to actually meet him?
I think now it wouldn't be so hard
Okay.
at the moment.
Let's make it happen, bro.
Yeah, man. I honestly, like, I'd love to. Well, I've met a lot of different calligraphers, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you that story in a bit. But
Gotcha.
he's a person who literally dedicated his life to writing the Mus'haf.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's all his time, what he does, and he works for all
Subhanallah.
the printing
Press.
distribution, the printing press in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And I want to know what it is like to write the Quran from top to bottom,
The pressure.
Mm.
and the pressure, and you being the main guy in the world.
Yeah.
So when I was in Turkey, I met a guy, Khattat. Is he Yemeni Khattat? If I remember his name, I'll mention him.
Yeah.
But we went and visited him in his house,
Mm-hmm.
and he was writing the Quran.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to me, you know, have you ever written the Quran before? And I was like, yeah, I have. Like I've written ayat and stuff. He's like, writing the Quran is so much more different than writing anything else,
Mm.
In what
Yeah.
sense?
because the wholeness of the Quran,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you write the Quran, he's like, you're writing the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah.
Right. So he said, you have to be in wudu. You know, you have to. It's as if you're praying.
Yeah.
To be in wudu, you have to be in the right mindset.
Yeah.
Even when you're writing the Mus'haf,
Yeah.
the amount of times you have to make sure each letter is perfected.
Yeah.
So you have that weight of the responsibility of writing the words of Allah. So
True.
everything has to be like precise.
Yeah. 100%.
So I was like, wow. And he's like someone he probably has written a fraction of what Uthman Taha has written.
Yeah. Yeah.
Subhanallah.
And if you were
I'd
amazed by him, just imagine the conversation you'd have with
Yeah,
Uthman.
Uthman Taha, yeah.
Yeah.
So is there a second person that comes to mind, or just stick with the one?
Probably that man there,
Muhammad
Muhammad Ali.
Ali. Yeah.
What would you talk to him about?
How he stuck to his roots so much,
Mm.
you know. Even when he got there to the highest point of boxing, how he stuck to what he believes,
Mm.
how he went against the grain.
Yeah.
That's
Mm.
huge for me. Like,
He transcended sport
yeah.
basically.
I think like a lot of people look up to him, but like people don't appreciate what he stood for.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like I think if he was alive, subhanAllah, like Allah took his ability to speak before he
Mm.
passed away.
Yeah.
I think if he was alive, not as many people like him. I don't know if you guys agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't
that's
think he will be
interesting.
as liked and loved as he is.
Mm.
Yeah.
So because he's ending the last 10, 15 years because he couldn't talk and stuff like that, why is it because like the
Outspoken nature of him.
Oh yeah, his
the
outspoken nature.
confidence and stuff,
Like,
yeah.
The same way he spoke against what, for example, America was doing at the time back then.
Mm.
I think he will speak against a lot of things that's
Yeah,
happening. In our
And
time
everyone
as
in the
well.
world would listen to Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think a lot of people just use him. Like we went to a networking night recently, like 3 weeks ago, and people said like three role models. Every
Mm.
single person had Muhammad Ali. And in my head, I'm like, I know a lot about Muhammad Ali,
Yep.
watch documentaries and stuff like that. But then it's like, do these people actually know his story or do they just say it? And that's why I'm interested to know why you'd want to meet with him. Because sometimes it's an easy answer to give. Muhammad Ali, it's like, yeah, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
But
why?
why exactly?
Because
yeah.
everyone might have
Yeah,
a different
that's
point.
true.
Because
You
you
know?
think of icon and you automatically think of Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's just a
Yeah.
natural thing to think of. But he'd also be cool because think about a guy like Muhammad Ali at the same time. Yeah. Like, I don't know the pressure that he would have had to deal with
Yep.
in the sense of being like on an iconic level. You know, like
Mm.
you got think of this, yeah, you got people who just like lead small communities.
Yep.
Yeah. And they have that sort of pressure. Yeah. Then you've got like prime ministers and stuff. Then you got that pressure. Then you've got like a global icon like Muhammad Ali. Like the stories that Muhammad Ali would have would probably
Mm.
be like ridiculous.
Yeah,
True.
that'll be a good podcast
Yeah,
guest.
just- For one day.
Yeah. Well, the fact
Jannah.
that even he was hated by so many people at the time.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
His
Yeah.
opinions and
100%.
things like that. You know, and a lot of these great people we talk about were hated and were like
Mhm.
trialed and like pushed away from the people and things like that.
Yeah.
Even the Prophet ﷺ, our
Mm.
greatest example.
100%.
At the time he went through, especially in the time of Mecca,
Yeah.
and even after with the wars and stuff.
Even the
you
Khalifa.
know,
You
and even
know?
the Khalifas after that.
Yeah.
A lot of these people were loved and appreciated after they passed away.
Yeah.
You know, there's actually a calligrapher,
Yeah.
world renowned, and his pieces sell for millions of dollars. He was so poor, and he
Subhanallah.
died poor, because at the time, the political situation,
Mm.
they didn't appreciate calligraphy as much, and he was one of the best. And all his works just after he passed away were
They start to
started
now
to
it's-
create value.
Subhanallah.
Yeah, after he left.
Yeah. They say that. They say like artwork becomes valuable after the person passes away.
Mhm.
Because like then it's like, it's like Kobe jerseys,
Yeah,
like Kobe shoes and stuff like
Music-
that.
Music
Yeah.
as well.
But
Yeah.
yeah, music,
Kobe shoes. There's a shoe, the Grinches, that went for like $200 at the time when they first were released.
okay.
Yeah, and now I don't know if you ever since Kobe passed away, whatever, Nike had problems with his like his wife took over like his estate or whatever,
Okay.
and then so Nike and his estate had problems and whatnot. Anyway, so his wife ended the deal, or like Nike and what terminated their deal with Kobe's. So now any Kobe's you get, like they just increased in price basically.
last ever.
Interesting.
They're not making any
So
more.
$100
Yeah.
shoe like a couple of years ago is like you can't get it for $1,000.
Okay. There
Like
you go.
$1,000 is considered cheap now,
Yeah.
No.
you know. But Van Gogh, I went to Van Gogh's exhibition in
Whereabouts?
Loom the other day. Yeah,
You should
Okay.
actually go.
It's here in Melbourne.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
it's
happening.
nice.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking
National
of something.
Gallery.
Yeah, nah, it's at not NGV. It's at
Exhibition center.
Loom, the exhibition center.
You should go.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I went
Very,
to one in
very
Europe.
nice.
Yeah, yeah. How was
He
it?
said something, and I'm trying to think of it. You know the whole point you just said about people not appreciating work till you're gone.
Mhm.
He was saying some prolific saying. He said something along the lines of, like, I have to bring it up here because I'm gonna abuse it, but like appreciate the art while it's there rather than after time has passed.
Mhm.
I got to get it up because it was like beautiful, and I don't remember nothing from Loom. I'll be honest with you,
Yeah.
other than the sunflower.
Yeah.
And that saying right there, because
Yeah.
people don't appreciate things until it's gone.
100%.
But then
Definitely.
artists, they see the art or the, I don't know, the essence of that
Mm.
work, like in that moment.
In the moment,
Yeah.
and that's what I love about calligraphy.
Yeah.
You know, when you write, and I don't know if how much people know about Arabic calligraphy, especially. It's more a science and art.
Yep.
You know, every letter has certain measurements. If me and Ali we wrote the same thing,
Yeah.
right, in the same font,
Yeah.
if we studied this the proper way,
Yeah.
our work should look identical. It should look exactly identical,
Wow.
right? So it's like every single movement of your hand you appreciate. So that I think of appreciating the moment
Yeah.
works so well in calligraphy. If you don't appreciate every movement, you won't have a perfect art piece,
Mm.
or
Gotcha.
close to perfect art piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like there's
Um,
levels to it. Like for example, Ali and I knew no Arabic, and then we went to Jordan, and we kind of didn't know. Like for example, you grew up speaking Arabic at home,
Yeah.
and then if I heard you talk Arabic, I would think you're the best. Like you just know Arabic.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we go study, and we're like, man, there's levels to this. Because I was speaking with
That's so
Mr.
true.
Samak. He came
Yeah.
to Jordan,
Yeah.
and then I said a word, and he goes, "Do you know the root word of that?"
Yeah.
And then he goes back about like a herd of sheep. I'm like, how the hell did you create that connection?
Yeah.
And I don't know any root words at the time. I was like a basic level. And it's probably the same with calligraphy. I'd look at your calligraphy and be like, mashallah, there's nothing higher than you.
100%.
And you'd watch and be like, this was too thick, this was too thin.
Ask Mo, when people like invite me to do there's like little tables and write calligraphy, I'm like, Mo, I don't want to go. Like, you're scamming people. I said, what do you mean? I'm like, this is not true calligraphy. Like, yes, people on the street are going to be like, wow, this is amazing. But if I'm like trying to like write like 200 names in an hour, 100% sure it's not going to be pure Arabic calligraphy.
How
So,
long
like,
do you
there's a
think it would
big
take?
distinction between calligraphy
Yeah.
and art.
If you had to take your time to make like a perfect name, like for example, you said you wanted to write Omran, how long would it take you if you want to make it like a
If you want to make it perfect, I mean, something like that, it'll take me a few hours at least.
damn?
To write.
Wow.
Because you're doing 200 in an hour. That's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
think. Damn.
Because it'll take me a few hours because you're going to write it. Then for me, at my level, I'll show it to my teacher in Turkey. Then he's going to refine it for me. Then I'll go back. Then we trace, right? So if you want to make a final piece, you write it yourself, then you trace over it, and then you do all the final piece. And then after you do a final piece, because you write with ink, we write with this like Japanese ink or Iranian ink, your lines won't be perfect if you really look deeply. So then we call it tartish in calligraphy. It's the cleaning up after you write. So you write and then you clean up and you perfect it.
Can you tell us
You
a
have
bit
it.
like, because there's no one I know in the Muslim community here that's into calligraphy besides you and your brother. Like if I had to say, oh, there's another guy I'll call for calligraphy, it's like, I don't know any. So
Yeah.
it's a very unique thing to get into, to have it as a hobby, as a passion.
Yep.
Can you tell us a bit about how you got into it?
Yeah, when I was younger, so my grandfather, Allah yarhamu, he passed away. He lives in Medina, right? With my grandmother, they live in Medina. And we used to visit there every year. My dad used to take people to Hajj, so we used to go there to Medina. And I used to sit in the mosque and like look at all these calligraphy and in Arabic call it zakhrafa. called sakhrafa, like the pattern work as well in the mosque. So I'd look at it and I was always be amazed. So I thought it was printed, right? I thought it was just like printed, you know, they got it and things like that. Then my grandfather says, no, this is written by hand. It's actually like people who write with their hand and then it looks like that. I couldn't believe it. So I was like, yeah, okay, look, you can try, give me a pen, and he showed me how to write. And ever since then, I just fell in love because I have this love, and it's because I have this love for Medina and the Prophet's Mosque. Even like now when I was in Saudi, I always visit and like in the mosque and appreciate the calligraphy.
There's a different type of
like if you just look up, a lot of people go to literally. I've seen people, like friends I've been with. I tell them, hey, let me show you something. Yeah, go to a section of the mosque. I'll look there. I've never seen that before. Like because you just have to look up. So a lot of people even like looking up Medina, especially throughout the Ottoman era. There were a lot of calligraphers that were world renowned who came and wrote pieces, and they're still there in Medina.
No,
a lot of old pieces.
Because we know the Turkish mosques are normally like have calligraphy and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but there's one thing appreciating it, especially when you're young. But how do you hone on the skill?
And then I just came back and I literally just practiced myself
by yourself.
Like literally, I just like got Sharpies and like textures and things.
You built it.
A bit like what Muhammad's done himself as well after that. And I wrote. Then, like we said, you know, people started inviting me to like, you know, festivals, things like that, do it on the Eid festivals and stuff like that as a kid. It was funny, like it was actually, so thinking back at it now, like being involved in business now, like it was such an awesome business as a kid. Man, I remember that one weekend I made like $3,000.
No.
And you know what? Of coins. I'm like, I couldn't believe it. Actually, I was thinking about it once, like a little while ago. I was sitting there and because it was so cheap, I made it like for $3 or something. And it was Mercer Mission, I think.
Yeah.
And people just like, all right, $3, my name. All right. So I probably like wrote the name for everybody in there.
And people
so
keep
And then I had enough money to go to Sydney because I had the Sydney one the next weekend. So then I just hopped on. I was like, oh gosh, I'll just go make money. I went to Sydney and then it was like,
and then you bought
you know,
tickets to come back to Melbourne.
So it was a good. So I did a lot of that, and I kept doing that. Then I remember, and subhanAllah, like I always appreciate this. I was like, how am I gonna find a calligraphy teacher who's willing to teach me and who's of a high level of calligraphy? And I had no answer, literally. Because like you said, there wasn't a lot of calligraphers. And the calligraphers in Melbourne, they've let go of it. Like I know there's this older Iraqi gentleman, he's let go of it. Because they come here, they can't do work with it. Yeah. So they just put it aside. Yeah. You know, they go do labouring, whatever. And another person who helped me was Sheikh Sulaiman. I don't know if you guys know him.
No. From what area?
What's his surname? Do you know his surname? Sulaiman, the calligrapher. He used to do like things in festivals here as well. My dad told me there's this guy Sulaiman, does calligraphy, and he linked me up with him, and he let me do like a few different classes and things like that. Yeah. But that was amazing, and I always like, even though I haven't met him for a while, I always think about him, and I thank him if he's gonna watch this, episode.
Hopefully.
After that, I was lost in my own thing. I didn't know where to go, how to do it, whatever.
True.
So then,
how old are you, by the way, at this
point? I was. So this period of just me trying, I was probably like, since I was maybe 8 all the way to...
Okay, you're young.
Probably 17, 18.
Gotcha.
Then, right?
Yeah.
So then at 18, could have been 18 or 19, the Human Appeal International had the leadership tour, the first leadership tour.
Yep.
And so I applied and I went, right? And I went with these awesome boys, still friends till this day. We went on this journey, went to Mecca, Medina, to Jordan, to Turkey. And it was beautiful. It was just like a fun trip. Didn't think nothing to do with calligraphy, right? No link to calligraphy. Then I came back here. And I got a call from Omar al-Jamal, right? A good friend from Sydney. And he told me there's this calligrapher. He's coming to Sydney. He's doing the mosque there in Punchbowl. Yeah. Right? They built this, mashallah, this beautiful mosque in Punchbowl.
Do you know what mosque it is? We're going to Sydney next week, so maybe we'll go have sus.
The boys are going to hate me for not knowing the name.
You can tell us later.
We'll say it. So it was like in Punchbowl, and the design was 99 domes inside the mosque. Okay. So there's like little 99 small domes around concrete. Yeah. And so he's like, we need a labourer. We never need a calligrapher.
Yeah.
Just need someone to clean, you know, prepare, help the guy.
Yeah.
You know, like I said. So I was like, all right, cool. He's like, you have to take time off work. Yeah, 2 weeks. I was like, it's fine.
Were you in labor?
No.
You made it
But
happen.
I was like, yeah, whatever, man.
Yeah.
I was like, what's it involved? He was like, no, it's easy. You just pick stuff up, clean stuff up. I was like, oh, that's easy.
Yeah, yeah.
He's like, most of us cleaning, and I have a background in cleaning anyway. So I was like, all right, cool, let's clean.
Yeah.
Husband material.
And then I went there, and the day before we started the job, there was a wedding, my friend's wedding. And I was sitting there, and then Omar comes to me and says to me, come say hi to the calligrapher. So I'll get up, and, you know, it's like you're in front of me, and I go, Assalamu alaikum. He says, Assalamu alaikum, akhi. He's like, I was like, my name's Omran, and he was about to say his name. I said, yes, Haytham Salmo. And he's like, Naam, ta'arifni, like in Arabic, do you know me?
Yeah, I know me.
I was like, who doesn't know you, Sheikh?
Yeah.
Who doesn't know you? I was like, you're one of the biggest calligraphers in the world. He's like, la. He's very humble. And a lot of calligraphers you'll find are very humble. He's like, it's a pleasure to meet you. I was like, likewise. It's like, tomorrow we'll start work, right? And I told him I just mentioned to him to have a little background in calligraphy. And he's like to me, okay, beautiful. Tomorrow you can show me. So
Put you on the
That's
spot.
pressure.
So I went, you know, the next day I come in the morning, and I didn't say anything about calligraphy. I was so intimidated because he didn't know that I knew who he was.
Yeah.
So now one of the biggest calligraphers is Hassan Chalabi in Turkey. He's
Yeah.
one of his students.
Yeah.
So it's very much like the Quran,
Yeah.
where you get an ijazah
Mm-hmm.
from your teacher.
Yeah.
He has the ijazah from teacher, ijazah from teacher.
Yeah.
They link it. It's not as strong as the link of the Quran ijazah,
Yeah, yeah.
but they link it to Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu.
It goes that far back.
Goes that far back. He's known as Imam al-Khattatin,
Yeah, yeah.
the leader of the calligraphers, right? The calligraphers.
True. He was the scribe of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as well.
Salam, yeah.
So there's a link there.
Yeah, and he had the most beautiful writing, they said.
Yeah.
There's actually scripture in a hadith about beautifying the writing of the Quran.
Mm.
So, and till this day in Turkey, it is so, like, calligraphy is as good as deen. It's as special as deen. Like the way they, like, a teacher probably won't take money off you because he'll say astaghfirullah. Like, why would I take money from something like that? So anyway, he goes, he sat, he didn't sit me down. I didn't mention anything, and I was watching him. You know, he's cleaning up, and I started cleaning for him and things like that. Then at lunchtime, I got us food and stuff, and we sat down. And he's like to me, "So you said you do calligraphy?" Like, oh yeah, a little bit. If I might have dabbled in it. He's like to me, "Show me." He's like, "Oh no." He's like, "Where's your things?"
Oh, he's testing your.
Yeah. I go, "Oh, I didn't bring them." He's like, "What calligrapher doesn't have his things with him?" And until this day, I have my calligraphy stuff.
Always on here.
Always on me.
Subhanallah.
Then he goes, which calligrapher doesn't have his calligraphy? I go, I didn't know I was coming. He's like, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's like calligraphy. It's either embedded in you, it's either lifestyle.
Yeah.
Or you will never complete the journey.
True.
Then he said to me, sit down and write. He's like, I'll give you paper and I'll give you ink. Put ink and paper in front of me. And I sat like this, right? So I don't know, some people write like this. I don't know if you guys write. So I sat like this and I was writing. He's like, how do you see the letters if you sit like that? I was like, what do you mean? I go, like, you can see it from this angle. He's like, no. He's like, if you want to see the right angle, you have to be sitting right in front of the paper. It has to be right in front of you. Then you can see the lines and things things I didn't think about.
Yeah.
And then he's like to me, like, your elbow should be close to your body, when you write. So your stick. So your pen is not your only thing that writes. It's your pen that writes, your fingers that write, your wrist that write, your elbow that writes. And when he taught me, that's when I realized, there's movements you can only create or perfect. Have you guys, do you know how to make a perfect circle?
No.
Like, if you want to make, for example, if you want to make a big perfect circle, you can use your arm because your arm the same length, right? So the same, the length from here to here.
Yeah.
You just draw, keep going, keep the same axis.
Yeah.
Create a perfect circle.
Uh-huh.
So that same concept, using your limbs
Gotcha.
to create shapes
Rather than the actual wrist or your fingers or the pen.
rather than the
itself.
rest of your fingers, right?
Yeah.
And he said to me, it doesn't matter, we'll start. And to just show you the kindness, he told me, I'll go to him, all right, I'll clean the surface for you. I'll come right. He's like, no, I don't need you to clean surface for me. I can clean surface by myself. I have hands. Literally, you think I can't clean, he's saying. He's like, your job is to sit here and write. You have to benefit from me being here. I think he was here for 2 months.
Yeah.
He said, you write and I'll correct your writing. And like that's it. The rest is history. Like we
2
created
months
this relationship.
you're with him
I was 2 months. I was with him.
one-on-one,
One-on-one with them. Like he has thousands of students around the world.
and one of the best in the world.
One of the best in the world. And
Subhanallah.
subhanallah, like and that's what I always say. You never know, like where the qadr of Allah is, like what Allah has planned for you, and where it come from. Like you'll try to like find your path, and you're gonna say, oh, I'm gonna study this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go there, but then just you find roadblocks and you find blocks, and sometimes you're just sitting there,
Yeah.
and you just that's it.
And also
Place
the
for
idea
you.
of like taking opportunities, because you could have had like an ego and be like, bro, like beat it. I'm
I'm
not
gonna
trying
clean.
to clean someone else's
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
And then now, well, so your 2 weeks turned into 2 months.
2 weeks turned to 2 months,
You wish it was 10 months, yeah.
right? Because he told me he can stay with me the whole project.
Yeah.
So then, and the beautiful thing and the most important thing I always like value in life is relationships. The most beautiful thing that I built is relationship with him,
True.
right? And I learned in those 2 months, I learned more than I learned in all my years of calligraphy.
How old were you then?
I was 19,
Okay.
19, 20.
You're young too.
Yeah. And then from then, have you ever had another intense, because I know you did 4 months in Turkey, I'm not sure if that was for calligraphy.
Yeah.
Have you had another phase in your life where it's like intense calligraphy only?
Yeah,
or
that was
majority?
in Turkey. So then
Okay.
he said, okay, you have to visit me in Turkey. So then I planned the trip and I went to him.
And how old were you then? What was the like years in
Like it was
between?
a year after.
Okay.
It was a year after.
Yeah.
I went to him straight away, and that time in Turkey was the most beautiful time I had, and that's why I love Turkey so much.
Were you in a
Yes.
classroom setting in Turkey, or was it one-on-one?
No, so he has
His house.
he has a little office.
Yeah.
And literally, I'll sit next to him, get the lesson, take the lesson, and I'll go in the back of the room, and then I'll sit and write. And he has visitors, so he's older, and he just has visitors that come on the go every single day, and visitors from around the world, you know.
True.
And
true.
it was subhanAllah, I was so honored to be like that special to him. That makes sense. Where I was like his son, and he used to tell me, oh, this guy, he'll tell me this guy's from Australia, you know, he's coming from Australia. Like they think this idea of like he's from Australia, he speaks English, but he's doing calligraphy. And, you know, most people do calligraphy from the Arab world.
Yeah.
And even we went to visit Hassan Chalabi.
Yeah.
And that was another intimidating moment because he
True.
told me, so the first phrase you write in calligraphy is رب يسر ولا تعسر رب تمم بالخير. So oh Allah, make it easy and don't make it difficult, and complete it with goodness, right? So we write this phrase before you write the letters.
That's
right?
poetic.
Yeah, it's beautiful. رب يسر ولا تعسر رب تمم بالخير. And like I said, it's so spiritual. That's why you write. So before you even write the letters, you have to make a dua. So you write that dua out, perfect the dua, and then you can write the letters. So he said to me, write the phrase. How long do you think I wrote that phrase for?
Probably an hour or something. Were you buckling?
No. How long do you think I wrote? Like how many
How many
times?
times?
How many times did I repeat that phrase?
I reckon like 30.
Way more.
Yeah.
I reckon.
We're
So I
talking
reckon for the
hundreds.
whole
We're talking hundreds.
hundreds of times.
Oh, he was just
Hundreds
correcting
of
you
not-
each time. That's why.
Each time you correct it.
Okay.
So how it works is you start with رب يسر ولا تعسر.
Yeah.
The ra, he'll correct the ra, and then
Yeah.
he'll correct the ba, and then he'll correct the ya. And
Yeah.
then you come right, and then he'll correct all the letters, you finish the letters. Then he'll look at the satr, the line,
Yeah.
and he'll look if it's balanced. If the blank space is as equal as the full space in رب يسر ولا تعسر. And just refine till you can write it like with your eyes closed. If this is before you write the alif. So then you think, oh my God, mashallah, I can write this amazing letter. It's going to say, come back, write the alif.
So how long did it
Write
take you
the
to
alif.
finish it until he said good job?
It took me 6 weeks.
And
he
he
said that's-
completed that one phrase.
That phrase. And that's like you pass. That's
Yeah.
not like you're really like amazing. You
Yeah.
passed it.
Yeah.
And now we start with the letter.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And because I had a bit of a background, people usually start with the dot. So the dot is everything is built off the dot.
Mhm.
So everything is measured in calligraphy through just one dot,
Mhm.
right? And shows you it's like that's it, the beauty of calligraphy as well. It's like it shows you that how grand something is,
Yeah.
just as something small,
Yeah.
little building blocks. It's like you have a picture; it's all pixels, right? Like, so we wrote that letter, and he's like, "Let's go this weekend to Hassan Chalabi," and I was like, "Yeah, beautiful. Let's go. We'll have tea with him and your people." And he's like, "No, we're gonna take the writing to him."
And show him.
I was like, Ustaz, like, look, you know, I just want to meet him, take a photo with him. And then, like,
Instagram.
you know, we'll put it on Instagram. And he's like, la, he's like, la, Hassan Jalabi, you know, this is opportunity. This is an opportunity for you. I was like, okay. He's like, we'll go take the train together and we'll go there. And we go there. And still, I'm trying to imagine, you know, when you go on somewhere, you have no idea what's going to happen. Like, you're trying to imagine how it's going to be. He's going to be on a podium. He's going to be sitting on a couch.
Yeah.
There's going to be like millions
Start
of people. I
evangelizing.
don't know. I'm like, oh, man. I'm like, so we went and it was in this library. And all the students were sitting, you know, men and women, just, and like this calligraphers. And you start to, like, realize some of them, like, you know, you recognize some of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, damn, all right. So I'm like, I've just got to see. And then they all start looking at me. I become the spotlight. Because it's such a small community. They're like, who's this guy?
Yeah, true.
Like, he,
New
like,
kid on the
like
block.
they're looking at me. Like, and then some of them say, oh, you know, Assalamu alaikum, how are you? You know, I'm from here, from Australia. Oh, wow. Then the sheikh comes in.
Yeah.
Old man. I think he's in his 90s.
Okay.
He comes in and everyone stands. So much respect. And so I learned from being in Turkey, from the Turks, the amount of respect they have for their elders, especially in the calligraphy world, like the respect is amazing. Walks in, sits down, people start bringing their work to him. And I'm just looking, like beautiful pieces, right? And he's looking, he's like, MashaAllah, çok güzel, but you know, this here, and then touch here, good. He's sitting here. My teacher's sitting here. I'm sitting here.
Yeah.
Because my teacher is like one of his main students. Like, we're close to him. That was even scarier. I'm like, then Sheikh says, then he goes to the Sheikh. He's like, to him, oh, Sheikh Hassan, we have my student Omran from Australia. He's like, oh, mashallah. And he speaks Arabic. He talked Arabic. He's كيف حالك? كيف أستراليا؟ أنا رحت سيدني. He's like, he has some work to show you. He's like, no, G. And he saw that I was a bit nervous. He's like, he's like, mashallah.
He rated your work?
Beautiful. Yeah. I knew he was just rating it to make me feel better. You know what I mean? But that's the respect, that's the character, that's the, you know. And he goes, "This is beautiful." And I'll flip the story in a bit. He goes to me, but he gets a pen and subhanallah, his hand shakes like because how old he is, and he just corrects. He's like, keep going on your journey, and we'll see you next year, like better writing and stuff. And he gave me so much support and thing. And I was happy, I was calmed down. Then a guy comes from overseas, without mentioning countries. Someone came from overseas, walked in. He was loud. He was like, he had this I want to call it arrogance, but like
authority.
Authority, his pride. And he said, "Yeah, Sheikh." He comes to Sheikh and he's saying, "Sheikh, we want to invite you to come to our country and stuff." And Sheikh's like, "Calm down." Like, what do you mean? Like, it's okay. Sit down and we'll talk. He's like, "Yeah, I study under this calligrapher, and he's trying to say we're calligraphers and we're honored to meet you here, but we want to get you." And he's like to him, "That's okay. Look, if you're here to they have work, bring me work. Show me work. Don't talk to me about anything else." And he's like, "Tomorrow I'll show you work." He takes out his work, and it was decent. Like, it was probably better than mine.
Yeah.
Right? He goes, "Daif." Like, just one word.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, ouch." He's daif. He's like, "Sheikh, we want to get you here. Look." And he mentioned something. He's like, "We'll pay you." And the Sheikh laughed. He's like, "Listen, we don't need your money or anything. Just go sit there, okay? Give the guy tea, and that's it. Don't bother me too much." He's like, "We're here to do calligraphy. We're not here to do business."
True.
Yeah. And I was like, man, subhanAllah. And he was so harsh with him because of the way he was coming. Because before you speak, you even start calligraphy, it's the character you present yourself with.
True.
And my teacher hasn't taken $1 off me from my whole life. He rejects everything. Because literally, okay, if he wants to become wealthy,
Yeah, he could easily.
that amazes me.
How about when he goes to Sydney to do projects and stuff like that? Because obviously a mosque is getting him.
Yeah,
That's where he makes his money. Because he's traveling, it's
Of
time
course,
away from his family.
Yeah. He makes his money. He does exhibitions. He makes his money. He does
True, true.
But one-on-one teaching, he wants to spread the knowledge so much that it's not for the money.
Exactly.
He knows he can make. It's like the guy that says, I'm not doing this for business. I'm doing this to benefit.
Correct.
It's like I already have enough. My house is paid off. I'm here doing something for the sake of Allah. He's 90 years old. Like money isn't like
Yeah, exactly.
motivating him.
Yeah.
Forefront, not
Agreed. So it's that was the journey. So it came from nowhere, but like subhanallah.
And that
makes it
to a degree taught you a lesson as well, because you
Huge.
weren't like directly taught a have the right character before putting a pen on a paper, but you learnt it through that interaction with that person.
I went through the interaction. Yeah.
Subhanallah.
And I think that's what I said. I value relationships and learning from people.
Mhm.
You know, anytime I find someone that I look up to,
Yeah.
I try to like literally leech onto them and just understand why they do something, how they do it, and things like this. Especially people who are successful. You know, when I say successful, let's just say materialistic, like it's worldly successful. You know, in their job or in wealth or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, even a reason why now when I travel to Saudi Arabia, and the company I work for, and our chairman, and what kind of person he is, amazes me. You know, he's a multi-billionaire, but he's the most down to earth, the most beautiful person, you know, I've ever interacted with, and just things like that. Learning, because what brought them to that level. How did they come here, but still, you know, maintain a good high character?
And when you have relationships with people, you learn more from what they do than what they say.
Correct.
Sometimes when you just listen to a podcast, anyone can just talk crap and whatever. But then when you meet these multi-billionaires, people that, alhamdulillah, you had the opportunity to meet people at the top of the calligraphy world, you see how they act because you have the relationship. If not just word of mouth, where you find out about this guy who's a bit, like, has confidence in himself and stuff. You hear this stuff, you're like, that's not character that I want.
Correct.
And you see someone else, you're like, mashallah, that's the kind of characteristics I should try to mimic.
Yes.
Yeah, true.
You know?
Yes.
Are
100%.
you trying to, like, I don't know if you want to open up on it, but like, are you trying to take another step? Are you trying to go back to Turkey to maybe do more? Like, 'cause I don't know the levels in this kind of stuff. Like, with ijaza, what's some goals for you, you know?
I think.
Have you got your ijazah, by the way?
No, I haven't got my ijaza.
Okay.
Is it hard to do?
Yeah. Like it's.
Well, it sounds
I
really
mean,
hard.
Look, it's like if you dedicate your time and effort, of course, it's like it's achievable and you do it quickly.
True.
I think because living in Australia and like traveling and coming back, I think if I stayed in Turkey for a couple of years, that would have been more benefit to me. But definitely, I want to go back.
Inshallah.
And I was actually when I was in Saudi, talking to my teacher. He wanted to come down to Saudi, but because of Corona, he couldn't. But it's definitely on my list. I want to go, inshallah, and I want to get my ijaza and see. Like for me, ultimately, I don't want to work with calligraphy, but ultimately, like in the future when I'm older, inshallah, I want to be of a high level in calligraphy, where I can teach people and do the same thing my teacher was doing, and spread the art of calligraphy.
The thing is, just consistency. To be at that level, but these people probably say, I'm doing calligraphy since I was 5 and I only became good at 65.
Oh, 100%.
You know, so it's not something, it's just like, if you just stay consistent, you do these 4 months over time, and especially you might not want to be the world's best, but you want to be like your best, whatever that is, maybe living in Australia. So your standard doesn't need to be the same.
Correct.
It's like when I was talking about Arabic, we don't need the best Arabic speaker in the world who's memorized 4,000 books in Arabic. To be an Arabic teacher here, honestly, you don't need much, because the standard is kind of different.
Definitely.
You know, I think calligraphy, a lot of people actually want to pick up the habit and pick up the hobby, but like you said, it's hard to find teachers here. You kind of went on a journey by yourself, and a lot of people for calligraphy will probably have to do the same thing. What's some ways you'd recommend someone to kind of like pick up the hobby, just so they're good enough to do like what you did at the Eid Festival, at least for themselves or for their family? What's like some steps they can take to do that?
I think here, like, research Hashim al-Baghdadi. He has a book. Now, calligraphy is such an old art. There's new like apps. There's no apps. Like even the app that they have is rubbish. But Hashim al-Baghdadi, it's a kurasa. It's a book. It goes through all these letters. So it goes through the ijaza from start to beginning. So, and there's some of his books that have the measurements to it. So just get familiar with the origins. First of all, read the history of calligraphy. Familiar with the origins. Look at the different fonts. There's only a few. And then look at the works of Hashim al-Baghdadi and the letters, and start practicing letters on its own. Start to get the rules down packed before anything. And then once you've got that, I think you're just set to travel. I think traveling is a huge, like, I'm all for traveling. Like,
I think another big thing is sometimes people expect results to come quick. You probably know with the fitness industry and stuff like that, which we'll touch on. Someone expects I'll go gym for 2 months and get a body like whoever, you know, Zach Perna. But for people that are inshallah gonna follow on the tips you just gave, what's like a time frame that they can kind of expect? Like, I might only get good if I put in the work for 6 months, a year, you know? So is there like a number? It's like, I think after 3 months of intense work, you should be pretty good.
Of course, like this, to get the basics of calligraphy, I think 6 months, and you have a good, like, you'll be familiar with the rules and things like that.
Okay.
And then it's just a journey. It's just like a journey. Honestly, like you'll look back at each. You'll look back 2 months and you'll be like, that was a horrible letter. That was a horrible thing.
Yeah.
And you always look back at yourself. It's like that idea when you look back at yourself, oh, I was stupid yesterday.
True.
Every time, you know, like, you know.
Yeah.
So I think once you get everything down packed here, the basics, travel.
Yeah.
And then you have that guidance from a teacher.
So you think
you know,
Turkey is a good place to go?
Turkey is the best place to go.
Yeah, best place to go.
Best, yeah, for calligraphy, honestly, the best place to go. And people come from all around the world because they still hold that art.
Yeah. So question.
Yeah.
So you said the origin of calligraphy, yeah? There's an art to it. There's something more than just, I guess, writing. So what is that origin, you know? Because I guess the whole idea of writing started with some guy getting a pen and conveying some sort of information, yeah?
Yes.
When did it turn into an art where people actually started to appreciate
I think
it?
writing started as an art. You know, if you look at the oldest writings and scriptures that were engraved into rocks and things like that, they were drawings.
Yeah.
Because how do I explain to you? There was no letters, right?
True, there
So
wasn't.
if I want to explain something to Ali, I want to draw like the pictures for him,
Yeah.
me under a tree or something, and the next thing he'll be like, oh yeah, that's what he means. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that it was like more like it had deeper roots than what we have now, and that's how it started. But in Islam or in Arabic calligraphy, it has a strong link to Islam. You know, because it was beautified throughout the Quran. So if you know, that's the sole reason.
Yeah.
Right. So and that's why when we write Ism al Jalal Allah, it's written in this. It's unique way.
Yeah.
I don't know if you like. It's just different than anything. So it's been refined. Like people refine this thing to make it look as grand and as beautiful as possible.
True.
So I think like that. Then you have the letters that symbolize different things. So you know, if you look at the Ain, the head of the Ain has. If you actually draw complete the Ain's head, it look like an eye, which Ain in Arabic means eye. So there's a lot of symbols inside the Arabic language and inside letters.
Yeah.
And then it also comes down to calligraphy and how connected they are to their writing.
True.
You know what they want to portray, depict. It's like art.
Yeah, it's a form of art,
form of art
as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's got that science component to it.
definitely.
Because I was going to say before, like when your teacher was critiquing you in regards to when you're writing that, that saying there before. Because you know how a lot of people say, yo, I'm going to become an artist, this, that. And like, even though my art might be rubbish to you, to me, it's beautiful because it's my form of art. Is it the same with calligraphy or there's like a set standard?
It is the same, but like we said, it's a science. So he's critiquing my theory, right? So the theory of calligraphy is every letter has its rules and things like that. Once you get that like down packed, then you're allowed to explore it yourself.
True.
You're allowed to innovate in it.
You
know, and if you get to a high level,
yeah,
you can even create your own font for it.
you
Like,
could be a pioneer.
but you have to get the basics down packed.
True, and that requires patience.
You have to. There's a movement now, like of just do calligraphy with a wild way and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's like you can't argue against it. It's not like a religion. Khalas, you have to follow. It's like you can't argue against it. It's like to be but it hurts to someone who knows classical calligraphy and what people have done in the past and what they went through. Yeah, to bring us what we have.
Did you doodle as a kid when you were in class?
Heaps. Yeah, I still doodle till this day.
Yeah, 100%. That's just a random side question.
Everywhere. Do you do that as well?
Yeah, I do that all the time. But I realize people who have that artistic nature, they've done that growing up type of thing. You know, like my sister, for example. Yeah, she's Allahumma barik. She's a deadly artist. You know, she might listen to this podcast and actually find out. But I rate her work highly. You know, but I realize like with artists or people that are into like calligraphy and whatnot, they always did it on the side. It wasn't a thing to present to people. It was their way of like expressing some sort of feeling or emotion, or they're trying to get a message across. You know, and it's very, very specific. But it's just
it is like calligraphy to me. Most of the time, I do calligraphy. It's not what I'm practicing. Most of the time, it's how I feel.
It's a hobby,
you know, or what I'm feeling. If I'm feeling, especially if I'm feeling down or upset. Yeah, that's the first thing I have to take out my calligraphy books, and because I feel like I zone out from the world. I can let all these problems I have and everything around me, and I can just delve deep into the thing. And I usually put some kind of like poem on to listen to,
Mm-hmm.
or instrumentals and things like that.
True.
So in Turkey, obviously, like instrumental music is huge,
Mm-hmm.
the oud and things like that. So.
True. I wanted to transition into the nutrition, the health aspect of you. I know you're not just
Okay.
a calligraphy guy.
Mhm.
Do you want to transition to that?
Yeah, obviously we've known you for years, and you've always been the human flag guy on Instagram. He does a human flag everywhere he goes. But you've been into fitness for years.
Yeah.
You've been like 2013, 14. I remember you
Pretty
started.
much like out of high school. Yeah.
Like straight. You've been always into fitness and health.
Yep.
And like you were PT here in Melbourne, I
Yep.
remember. But then how'd that transition go from being a PT here, posting videos, taking clients that I think what was the gym 12
rounds.
12 rounds, you were training there and stuff like that, and then you move all the way to Saudi, and you've been there for the last year,
Yeah.
being like a PT, running the gym and stuff like that. Can you tell us a little about how you transitioned from being a PT here to going to the other side of the world?
It's not that, it's not that interesting. Honestly, like I've always done things at random, like literally. Like I applied to I went on Google, I wrote fitness jobs in the Middle East.
Randomly.
Right? Randomly. Just
So
I
it's
was
always been
sitting.
on your mind.
It's always, I would say it's always been in the back of my mind.
Okay.
Before I left actually, early 2020, before the lockdown, I traveled overseas. Went to Sweden to my cousin's wedding. Then I went to Saudi Arabia, visit my grandfather.
You really are a wayfarer. You
I
travel.
love to
that.
travel. Man. People say to me, people say they hate, like, I love traveling.
Yeah,
Seeing the airport. Or being on a plane.
Why you do
Okay.
calligraphy?
Yeah, just like the calligraphy, right? I just, like, honestly, like, even like the interactions you have in the airport with people, just things like that. I love. And then obviously being at your destination, exploring.
100%.
I love being somewhere where I don't know what's going on. You have to be observant of things. And things.
Yeah.
So I went there, and when I was there, I saw a few different gyms, and I had this idea. I'm like, you know what? Melbourne's just oversaturated with gyms. Like, there's a gym at every corner, and especially with Corona, gyms were closing down. Our gym that I worked at was closed down. My business got a huge hit because of the lockdown. Like, and I have no staff, and it's like,
True.
I was like, okay. And plus, when that happened, you realize how the industry can get affected so quickly, and what is lacking. Yeah. Before, it's just when it's up and running, you're like, when everything shuts down, you're like, oh, okay. I don't know if you guys probably like in lockdown, you drive past and everything's for lease.
Yeah.
People
Yeah,
like
well,
Should have
shutting
seen
their
Sydney
businesses
Road,
and that.
bro. You should have seen. I felt bad for
It's like
a lot of small businesses.
It's crazy. So then I was like, when I was there, I was like, okay, Saudi Arabia, was so like conservative. Now there's this gym popping up. So this thing is like Anytime Fitness we have here. So I just had that thought of working in Saudi Arabia. But then when I came back here, I was sitting in my room. So then I was like, fitness jobs in Saudi Arabia or like in the Middle East. And I started applying. This one job caught my attention, which was it's like building a luxury wellness center, first of its kind, in the world.
Luxury wellness.
Luxury wellness center,
Okay.
first kind in the world. Getting trainers from different. It's just the ad seemed like interesting.
Yeah.
And I applied, met this lovely lady named Angela, and then a guy named Adam. It's like when like interviews go so well,
You just know.
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Mm.
It wasn't even like tough,
Yeah.
it went well. Everything went just well, So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it so just easy. Then, as soon as I got the job, we went into lockdown. We couldn't travel.
Okay.
Yeah, without exemptions, you couldn't travel at the start. Remember, early
It was
2020.
hard.
I stayed a whole year in Australia on the promise of one guy, named Alan. He's pretty much our boss there. He started the gym in Saudi Arabia. He said, "I give you my word."
So a guy you've never met on the other side
So
of
the
the
guy
world.
never met. He's an African dude. And he's like, Omran, I give you my word. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll trust you. And then a couple months later, I don't even know if I have this job. Technically, I have the job.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have it.
On Alan's
Well,
word.
and on Alan's
Verbal
word. And
agreement,
Alan
yeah.
is an amazing character. He's like, it's driven, and I say African. When I say African, that energy.
Yeah.
That he's from Cameroon, I think, and he's always giving you quotes and motivational speeches.
Yeah,
and
it's
like,
full of life.
even when he had the first interview with me, he's like, Omran, he's like, nice to meet you. He's like, tell me what you want to do here at Core. Core is the gym I work for. I was like, my experience, blah, blah, blah. He's like, listen, he's like, just disregard all that. It's all about the energy you bring, the drive. You want to become successful, it's like just those kind of things. And I loved him. Like he was so genuine. He couldn't make it up. Like I loved him.
Oh,
And then he came back and he's like, I gave you my word. I'm a man of my word. Let's go. This was the end of 2020. Done my papers. Flew over to Saudi Arabia. Didn't know what I was getting into. I was like, I don't know what I'm getting into.
Yeah.
It looks cool. And then I got there and it was just in Jeddah. It was this gym, right? And it's fancy. I walked in. The first thing I walked into the garage, I saw Bentleys, Ferraris, and Rolls Royce, and I'm like, okay, it's luxury. Then you go upstairs, everything, equipment's luxury and things like this. So we were a really small group back then. And, they were talking about expanding the gym and how they want to build all these things. And it happened like that. SubhanAllah. And that's when I met the chairman of a company and amazing people that I consider as family and friends now.
And this was your first job opportunity overseas?
This was the first job opportunity overseas, yeah.
And how was it taking that transition of, because you said you visited a lot of countries, but then it's like a different story when you go and stay there long term. Like how was that settling in?
I think the first, like I said to you, the first 3 months was like a holiday.
Yeah, I assume so.
And I think because I don't process things that well before they happen. Like I'm the type, I'm like, I'm going to Saudi. I'm going to Saudi. Like,
that's good though.
I'm just...
What did your parents say? Because I know your grandparents, you said Medina, a different city.
Yeah, so a lot of them were happy,
Okay, that's
my grandma was happy.
Yeah.
Even my mom, she's happy. I want to be close to family and I'm going to
Good,
Saudi
good.
Arabia.
Yeah.
And my mother, she has a close relationship, so of course, with the Quran and religion and stuff. And Saudi Arabia is an Islamic country, so she loved that for me to be a place where you can go to the masjid. You have obviously we can go to the masjid here, but you have the adhan going off. Like you have masajid every corner. So she loved that aspect for me. So she was happy for me. Obviously, my father supported me as well, as he does in everything in what I do.
Shout out to him.
And so it was easy. And for me, it's like, let's just go. Whatever I find there, I find there. If I don't find anything, then I'll just come back. Or
So
go somewhere
you're
else.
willing to take a new experience.
Yeah.
But also, because last year, how old are you now? 26?
25.
25.
Yeah.
You're 24 years old and you make the decision, you're at a stage where you've been out of school for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have that doubt? It's like, okay, I studied, I finished my degree, I'm here. Is this going to be good for my career? Not. Is it going to delay certain things like marriage and stuff like that? Was all this stuff happening in your head where it's like, is this a bad time? Or you're like, no, I want a new experience. I want something new. Boom.
Good question. No, it didn't. Because I feel like I don't look at my life as a structured thing that I have to hit these milestones at certain points in my life. I think for me, and it can be a good or bad thing. I don't think it's a good thing. But even if I studied for 20 years, I will never regret that. Even if I didn't get a job through that study, it's like that study was an experience in itself. You learned so much and you took so much from that thing, right? That's it. It's an experience and the next chapter begins. Because I like to look at life backwards, right? If you look at, if you speak to a lot of older people and look at what they've achieved, what they think where they at now, their life didn't go as they planned at all. They went through so many trials and tribulations, or they went through so many difficulties that they didn't think they would encounter, right? Or they started this job, then they went to this job, then they ended up here. Or you speak to people who've lived different parts of the world, or people who have struggled with marriages, or have had drug issues, or whatever it is, people's struggles, right?
Yeah.
And every single person has those struggles, right? So to think that it's gonna delay me on something, you don't know what's gonna happen in the next step. So I feel like for me, it's I've always been that person who just let me just go.
True.
And just do it.
Would you consider yourself an impulsive person?
Yeah, big time.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're right.
Impulsive.
It's a double-edged sword. It has
Yeah, it
its
is.
downsides to it as well.
Yes.
But at the same time, you wouldn't have had all the opportunities that Allah Barik that you do have.
Yes.
You wouldn't have met this person. You wouldn't have met Alan and whatnot.
Yeah, that's true. I
That's
would have met these amazing people. I would have seen another side of the world, our people, and he showed me that a lot of things that they're achievable. If you just,
it sounds like it, because even meeting people that are in the one of the best calligraphers in the world and getting the opportunity, like you said before, Allah's the best of all planners.
Correct.
And He's got it, and you have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
How about like, obviously you've been out of school for that long, you graduated uni. How about like with your friends? Because sometimes you hear, oh, Omran's in Saudi, and you're like, it's not that big of a deal, talking about your story or calligraphy. And then comparison's a big thing. Has there been a stage where you're in Saudi and you're like, damn, maybe I should go back home? Maybe this isn't the right thing for me. Or even seeing your friends who have kids and stuff like that. Did you compare yourself? Or do you have that faith that like I'm on my own path?
Sometimes I'll compare myself with things that I want to achieve.
Okay.
So something I'm going for that I haven't achieved yet, and someone else has achieved, then you'd be like, okay, or he's there, or he's done that. But I'm huge on everyone has their own path, and I feel like I'm the one in the group, like in my friends group, that keeps reminding people like it's not that bad. It's all right. Like you'll pass this stage in life. You're not in competition with anyone else. Somebody buying a house doesn't mean they've that
They're
it's
ahead
an
of you.
amazing thing or they're ahead of you. Somebody getting married doesn't mean they're ahead of you. Somebody having kids doesn't mean they're ahead of you.
True.
Everyone's at their own thing, so you've got to really look at your own sort of like we read all these books, but we never read our own book, right? So we never open up and look at our past, look at what we've achieved, and appreciate what we've achieved, and then really like see what next thing we want to do, but in our own book, not someone else's book. So I've even coming back, like seeing and traveling. I always when I travel, I learn things. I try to bring it back to my friends and family, and try to share it with them, saying to them like, it's not that bad.
How crazy is it? As soon as you come back, you obviously miss Melbourne, you miss family and stuff, but you come back, you're like, nothing changed. I don't know if you thought the same
I think
thing.
this year because of the lockdown, but like no, a lot of things for me, a lot of things have changed,
You think
especially
so?
being at this age. Yeah.
Everyone
It's like
became
everyone,
anti-vaxxer.
people are getting like this person's getting married, this person's getting
True.
this, and a lot of like I think the biggest thing is marriage now at like 25,
Yeah,
26,
I agree,
even
yeah. Just
like
how
all
it
my
is.
friends, like even people
Yeah.
like I'm not that man.
Yeah.
And
But
they
you never know,
just-
6 months in,
yeah, they find
when you hear
someone
about
and
them,
then they can't stop talking about that person.
Yeah,
Oh, what happened, bro?
Marriage
it's
big
like-
conversation.
Yeah.
What's it like though, being on such like an individual experience, traveling to Turkey and then like going to Saudi and joining Alan or whatever? Yeah. Because you're on this individual experience. Usually people go through life, and usually at these ages where they're so like attached to a friendship group and whatnot. Yeah. Did you have friends going into all of this?
Did I have friends?
Yeah.
I was
Like
alone.
that.
Nah, I always have.
Because you come off across as a person that's very, very comfortable in their own,
Space.
like their own space and shell, to be like, yo, I'm going to get up and go to Saudi one moment,
Yeah.
rather than overthinking it, thinking, yo, what's my friend going to think? You obviously, because you got to support your family where they
Yeah.
give into you. But a lot of people deep their other forms of relationships, and then
Yeah.
that ties them in that moment, and it actually stops them from taking further opportunities.
Yeah, I think all of us, like, I don't know, you guys can tell me as well. At this age, we sort of know who our friends are.
Yeah.
Who are our real friends, and then who are not our real friends, and who,
Sure.
people who want the best for us and people who don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's that filter.
Yeah.
I've always had those, 3 to 4 people who are really close to me,
True.
and we always stay connected. Even if we're overseas and stuff like that, and they're always supportive of what I do. But then you have those people who are not, who say like, oh, that's stupid. This is, this is dumb what you're trying to say.
question
You
everything you
question
do.
it, yeah. But you just filter those people out. So I always have, even though I'm always alone, like I have, a lot of people who support me.
I like that. Yeah.
And I think but I like to like keep a lot of my personal stuff to myself.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just that kind of person, and I love to travel by myself, be alone and stuff, like things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we all have that social aspect.
Yeah, you have to.
But I like to, I don't know, it's weird. I like to keep it at a limit.
True.
Like, we hang out, we talk, we have a good time, we share ideas, thoughts, and things like that.
Yeah.
And then, we're on our journey.
Exactly. You have a
So I
goal in
think-
mind.
And that way, you can, I think I do that. I learned to do that because I'd like to interact with a lot of different people. People like, oh, you're always talking, you have so many friends, people know you, like, people, like, just, you're talking to everybody,
Yeah.
Okay, but if you just give a little bit,
Yeah.
To a lot of people,
Yeah.
I think you can build your
Networks.
circle, your network.
True.
And it's also about like
Yeah.
you don't know what you're going to receive from that person. That they might say a life story or experience, and that might change your life.
Yes. Yeah,
You're
100%.
getting their perspective.
100%.
Yeah.
I always
Helpful.
say I never we all judge, but one thing in my life, like I try to just even if something I don't like a person or I don't like something they're doing, there's something you can take that's good for them.
Always from a person.
Always, there's something you can benefit.
Yeah.
And you know, like I said, in Australia, like we have a multicultural society and things like that. But when you travel, you see like, you know, some people think that they're much better than other people based on their wealth status, whatever, things like that.
Yeah.
And it kills people. It really does.
You know,
Brings people down.
You know, when you were saying before, when Ali asked you the question, what was the question? Was about countries or your favorite place to actually live and whatnot, and you're rating Melbourne up there, yeah. I related that back to, you know, when we came out of lockdown, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that I missed the most about Melbourne was like the dynamic, the atmosphere, because everyone is so easy getting along with each other. And straight away when Melbourne opened up, I remember going to like Melbourne Fashion Week and this, that, and then meeting new people and networking with them.
Yep.
You know, and that little aspect of it all was taken away from us in COVID.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't know, I just rated it. I thought I wanted to chuck that in. But another question, random, on the spot. So before the podcast, you were telling us about coffee.
Oh, coffee, yeah.
What's your go-to coffee order?
My go-to coffee order, if it's with milk, if we're in Melbourne,
Yeah.
it's an oat latte.
Oat latte.
Yeah.
I rate that.
Otherwise, I'll just go for the espresso.
Espresso.
It's like a double shot.
I rate that. Love it.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to know. Let's talk about your fitness journey, because I've always, I don't know many PTs, to be honest.
Yep.
Thinking about it, and also I think to myself, what's their fitness journey? What's their goals? Is it solely like based on numbers? How does it work?
Let me just throw this in. If there's any PTs in Melbourne, in your audience who are willing to travel and work, we're hiring at the moment, so recommend if they want to.
Where can they
reach out
reach
to
you,
me.
by the way? Where can they reach you?
They can email me. We'll put in the link or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Ahmed can do all of that. Get off your phone now, joking.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll get the
Yeah,
links
that's
up.
interesting.
Yeah. Go for
So
it.
how does it work, like with your fitness journey, and like, are you experimenting with yourself, like, I don't know, cold showers or like Wim Hof breathing? I've seen
Yeah,
you've
I'm
done in
huge
the
on that.
past.
You're a big calisthenics
huge.
guy. Do you try and powerlifting? What do you change up your routines here and there?
You know, I like reading on and trying things on health and longevity, right? Things that can help you live a healthier, better life, right? Not necessarily build a more aesthetic body. And I've always been like that. And people who know me, like at the gym and stuff, they know I never do a structured like
Bicep day.
I've never like, you see me, I might muck around with a machine, but I'm like, it's not my thing. I don't like reps and sets. But what I like is like, how do I make my body like optimal as much as I can, of course, where I can stay healthy, I can stay strong, flexible, things like that. So you're like, you know, you can have a wide range of things, you know, a holistic view on exercise. So when you can do yoga, or do breath work. And I have a lot of people say, that's like, it's rubbish,
Okay.
breath work, you know. Yeah, he's gay.
That's what people think.
Yeah, honestly,
it's
like,
true.
but if you've actually like, if you see, you gotta let go of all the like misconceptions or like shackles of like things in the past that you've learned. You know, this is your yoga's for girls, or this is for that, or whatever.
Pilates and
Right? Just go into things with an open mind, right? And then you'll be able to take more in. But yeah, so for example, I like doing a bit of breath work, right? Because that's the origin of everything. Breathing, it's the most basic thing a human needs.
You should read Breath by James Nestor.
Okay.
Or
I'll
if
read
not,
it.
suss his
Let's
podcast
see
with
the
Joe Rogan.
podcast. Let's see the podcast.
I'll give you his
What's that?
podcast with Joe Rogan. Suss it, and then you can read his book.
He does breath work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his entire book.
Like, and if you see breath work, it's so vast. So many different types of breath work. What people like, you can get into different states through breath work. Like for example, I learned how to hold my breath in that video.
Yeah.
Right. When I did it underwater, it was even more like amazing how quickly your body can adapt.
Yeah.
So how can you change the balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide in your body?
Yeah.
Right. So for me, that's huge.
Yeah.
Like if you understand the body, like if you can do that, right? And Wim Hof, right? He goes into ice cold water,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Sits there for so long, nothing happens. I think, and he has, I don't know if you watch his video, he was injected with like a bacteria, and it usually brings on shivering and different kind of side effects.
Yeah.
And nothing happened to him.
Yeah.
And people are like, nah, it's not science. It's how you like. That's how you react. No, your body will react differently based on how you inhale, how you take in oxygen, and what state your mind is in.
True.
You know, That's where panic attacks come from. A lot of people have panic attacks from
Yeah.
what they're thinking, right? So literally what you're thinking can change your physical state,
And you're breathing.
you know? And I went through that a lot, actually. Like, I can't remember how long ago. I think first year uni, I had anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I had these panic attacks. I think I self-diagnosed myself, but I think it's true. But I had these panic attacks, you know, and usually it'll happen in weird places like shopping centers and things like that. And the more I tried to fight it, the worse it will get,
The hard to get out of.
you know? The first time it happened, it was at university.
Yeah.
I thought I was having a heart attack.
Yeah.
It was,
That's
I was eating a pizza, yeah, all right?
Yeah.
I was eating a pizza and it was exam time, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, and that time I wasn't into exercise, I was just like, you know, youngsters just eat whatever, you know, first year uni. And then all of a sudden, I walk downstairs, feel dizzy, blah, 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 heart rate is fasting, blah, blah, blah. I'm having a heart attack.
Yeah.
In my mind, I didn't say anyone, right?
Yeah.
I remember there was this Asian security guard. He's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I go,
It still works.
"Yeah." I was like, "Oh, I think, you know, actually, I think I told him. I think I told my heart." He's like, "You have a heart problem." He's like, "You know, I can't remember. It's so cheesy, but he's like, yeah, because too much click computer because you know he's trying to link like the heart with like the opposite side of the body. He's like, too much click, don't click." And then I was like, you know, it made me laugh. And then I was like there, and I was on the ground, and I'm shivering, and I was like, you know, what's happening to me? First time.
Oh, you fell down.
I didn't fall down. I sat down. Like,
Okay.
it's not that dramatic. Like, I think that was a bad thing. No, I think I was causing it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Ambulance came, checked on me. Like, no, you're right. Like, nothing's happening. Just a panic attack. Then they're like, we'll take you to hospital in case. We went to hospital, do that ECG and everything. Same thing. After that, things started to like get a little bit worse. I had acid reflux and things like that. And
Yeah.
I was feeling lethargic and tired, and you know, and I'm like, man, like, what's happening? Like, what is this? You know, you just Google your symptoms and you're like, what the hell's happening? Then I was like, that's when I started to delve into Joe Dispenza and different doctors and what's his name? David Asprey. I think his name is, the Bulletproof Coffee guy.
Mm.
There's different people who
True.
like, you know, alternative health and stuff like that, and just trying to take what makes sense to me,
Yeah.
and I transformed everything.
It seems like
Like,
you have
you know?
a holistic approach
Yeah.
to health, because sometimes like bodybuilders, they lift strong. You see them bench 140 kilos and you're like, mashallah, they look good. And then you tell them, come play soccer or let's go for
They're
a
gassed
hike.
out.
15 minutes later, they're gone
Gassed out.
and stuff like that. So it
Yeah.
seems like you want to have like control over your body, breathing, health, eating and
Mhm.
stuff like that. For people that want to approach this, sometimes all you find is bodybuilding, powerlifting.
Correct.
And it's not the holistic approach to health. Do you know any places or people that would be good to go listen to, go watch YouTube videos on, so people can kind of find out more about it? Because sometimes they want to find out routines. People like routines in the gym, especially when you don't know, because you're a PT, so you know form, you know reps, you know rest days, you know eating. You kind of understand that.
Yeah.
People don't. So do you know a place people can
think,
maybe go for that?
I think like overall really researching different things is a great start. But looking at, for example, I'd say the calisthenics side of things, right? You can look at people like
Austin.
Austin Dunham. Or you have, you know, Austin Dunham and
Do you know Brother
Guys that-
Faris?
Brother who?
Brother Faris.
No, who's that?
Okay.
You gotta show me him.
He's my
Is
guy.
a calisthenics guy?
Yeah, but he's Muslim. That's why he's from in
Does
Canada.
a bit of both.
Yeah,
Okay.
but whole body, everything, eating, nutrition, sports.
Oh, beautiful.
I'll show you his box jump, but this guy's
He's a
unreal.
guy as well. He's in the gym. He's not doing the basic sets and reps.
Mm.
He's doing these. He's
I think it's about,
improvising.
and I think it's about experimenting.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, that's
he does
the
that a lot.
biggest thing. Like, even like when you ask me that question, like I have all these names that come in my mind, but I can't like put it to one thing.
Recommend one or two.
Because
Yeah.
Omran is a build up of 10% of 10 people.
Mashallah.
Like I feel like, yeah, it's like a bit. Even like when I'm like I'm so impulsive, like you said. Like I go in the car, and I want to listen to a topic. No, I would just randomly. But I have a feeling like, okay, I want to listen to this topic.
Yeah.
It can be the most random thing. Like I was listening to Jordan Peterson when I was going like it could be some random topic, right? But I think experimenting and being inquisitive is going to be your best bet in anything you do.
Curiosity.
Yeah, and curiosity, having an open mind, and just learning. And even when you're like, oh my god, I'm so sure that's the thing, that's not the thing. And I do this with everything. Like even when like growing up as a Muslim, even with Islam, you know, I learned, okay, what's the existence of God? Why, you know, why do I believe God exists? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then what are the different aspects? What are different religions? What do they believe? Why do they believe that? Not saying that, okay, they're wrong, khalas, they're wrong, 100%. Because once you say, okay, they're 100% wrong, you just literally put like a blind over yourself.
You become
You know,
ignorant.
and a lot of people disagree with this, but I'm a big believer. Like, just remove the blind. No one said you have to become Christian or whatever.
Yeah.
But just learn.
At least understanding from their point
Understand
of
their point of
You don't have to
perspective.
agree with them.
You know, because what? How are you going to speak to someone? Because in the end of the day, right, we're all the son of Adam. We all come from the same thing. Yeah, Muslim, Jew, anything we are, different, whatever we are, we're all brothers and sisters in humanity, right? So we all literally want the same thing in life, right? And when you travel, you guys travel a lot, like you see this, right? Doesn't matter where you're from. But yes, what you've been taught, and the Prophet ﷺ talks about this, you know, when a person's born, and his mother or father make him Jewish or Christian, right? So they all want to live a healthy life, safety, family, blah, blah, blah. But they've been taught these things that they hold on to. Now, if they don't go on the journey to discover, like Salman al-Farisi did, they will never find it.
Theological differences.
Yeah, so when you're speaking, if you're speaking to like a Christian, if you never learn what they learn, if they never understand what they say, how are you going to speak to them?
True.
On what basis? And tell them Islam is right? That's it. You can't convince someone like that. So I think
100%.
understanding, you know, knowledge is power.
And to a degree, you get more appreciation for what you understand.
Yes.
No, not for what you understand, what
believe.
you already know.
Yes.
Type of thing. I remember we were getting Adnan Rashid,
Yeah.
and when
I
he was
watched him at
speaking,
Hyde Park.
yeah, the guy
Yeah.
from Harvard, we got him on an episode, and half of it is like understanding how someone else came to that thought. Do you know what I mean? Because we're so like naive in the sense that like I'm right, don't worry about what they think.
Correct.
Everything. I remember like once at work, like you grow up knowing that you can't eat pork as a kid, yeah.
Yes.
And it's like when someone asks you, hey, so why can't you eat pork? You know, because it's like a dirty animal, and they chuck random facts. It's the
Yeah.
cleanest animal. This, that. You feel stupid.
You feel stupid.
To a
100%.
degree.
Yeah.
Believing is one thing, but actually understanding why you believe that.
Yeah.
It's
And that's
also-
why questioning everything you've been taught,
Yeah,
looking down, it doesn't matter what it is,
yeah.
looking into it and find the answer. Sometimes you won't find the answer for a long time. But I think, you know, in society, like, if you don't have the answer, it's looked down upon. You know, if you don't know, if you say I don't know, which is the most powerful words you can say. So if somebody asks you, I don't know. It ties into health a lot as well. Like someone asked me, like, you know, this diet thing, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, but you're PT, like you study sports science and stuff, and yeah, but I don't know, because what do we know from the body? Well, how much do we know of the body? You know, we know like such a small percentage of how the body works, and that's why different things work for different people. And even in health and in fitness, like now working as a personal trainer and things like that, I always get my clients to experiment and find their own way that works for them.
True.
In training, in eating as well.
Mhm.
There's concepts we know. So obviously calories in and out. We know that what you know, eating your over your calories does.
For sure.
You know, calorie balance. So okay, we can use that to track. We can use that, but then we don't know what foods do to like what foods have an effect on what on your body.
True.
And let's try it. Some people are allergic to some foods. Some people get bloated for some foods. Some people don't. See a skinny guy, he eats like my little brother. Smashed down a pizza by himself. Still skinny. Yeah, no, Muhammad's a bit chubby now, but like Asman. Yeah. It's true, but Asman's so skinny. And but it's like, why? Because there's more to the body than just pumping weights and eating healthy.
True.
There's hormones. You know, women have their menstrual cycle that affects their thing. You know, there's stress. And stress is huge on people. Just, you know, there's this speech everyone should listen to on YouTube. It's like, why zebras don't get ulcers. Forgot the doctor's name. Amazing talk.
Why zebras don't get ulcers?
Don't get ulcers.
Okay.
And you know, speaking like stress, people like put that aside, but stress is a hormone that's been proven, yeah, to have physiological changes in our body, yeah, where it can bring on disease and ailment.
Yeah,
it's huge.
Yeah,
and if we don't like try to look at that aspect in health and fitness, we're missing a huge part. Like you said, we could become bodybuilders, but we're unhealthy, or our heart's not healthy, or things like that. So stress, and that's why. And what I love is like looking back, revisiting Islam, and looking at what we've been taught, and you'll be surprised. You know, this whole talk about fasting, you know, the Prophet ﷺ, he says in the hadith that, you know, enough is for the son of Adam, just a few morsels of food.
Mm-hmm.
The hadith then says, then if he cannot, then he should be a third. But what we hear is a third. But just to hold him up, just so he has strength.
Yeah.
Now this idea of, you know, fasting, intermittent fasting, what the lack of food does to your body, benefits. You know, we fast in Ramadan and things like that. Prophet ﷺ always, you know, ask Allah to remove from him al-ham wal-gham, you know, al-hazan, sadness and being preoccupied and being, you know, like depressed and things like that.
True.
Prophet ﷺ asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to move them away from him. So these things, like, they're so powerful, but again, we've just got to keep revisiting, you know, what we've learnt prior. We'll find great benefits in it.
It shows that, like, for a lot of people, sometimes we realize we got some people on recently. We got Almir Kolan for finance, stuff like that. A lot of times people think they can get all the answers in one podcast because everyone wants the short, quick fix. And then now talking to you, who's been in the fitness industry for nearly 10 years, it's like, it's a journey. You're not even going to get fit in 3 months, 6 months, like to like the goals you want. It takes time. You got to be patient and you got to experiment because we all have like different body types and stuff like that.
Definitely.
So it's good for people to
it's good it's good to experiment, but then it's good to have a strict, like a plan to put forward to achieve a goal, right? But you always know that after you achieve that goal, you're gonna have another goal that you want to achieve.
Always,
you know. And after you achieve that goal, you're gonna lack in something because you achieved that. So, for example, if you do like a lot of, let's say, yoga, for example, you're gonna lack in your pulling movements, for example. You know. There's always going to be a lack somewhere. So, and even when I say, like, a lot of my clients now in Saudi Arabia are women, and they talk to me about this. Oh, I want to achieve this, you know, this weight, but they don't know what that weight is going to mean to them. Because when they reach that weight, then they're like, I want to like lose more weight. True. I want to change this. So it's like you always just having that perspective that yes, stick to a goal, be disciplined, you know, in what you're doing. But then always know that there's a longer journey. So.
True.
Okay, interesting.
100%.
I wanted to end it off with 2 points because obviously first episode of 2022. But you spoke about meeting, obviously, like people that are top in the field. You've traveled and stuff like that. Even with your parents being trusting you to kind of do your own thing. Mm-hmm. Do you have like an advice that stuck with you from when you're young? Like, what's the best advice you've ever heard? You know,
the best advice I've ever heard is probably along the lines of you rise by lifting others, or you like, you know, you achieve things of greatness by bringing other people up, you know. And the second one is probably, and this is all stemming from the hadith of Prophet ﷺ. You know, ما نقص مال من صدقة. When you give sadaqah, it doesn't decrease your wealth. And I think those 2 things I've tried to live by, in my life. Like, if anything's important, if you say to me, what's the purpose of your life? What do you want to achieve? It's helping as many people as I can, lifting them up. Because, like, again, it goes back to looking back. You know, always say, if I was older, if I was on my deathbed, what would I be thinking? What's going to be important to me? So that's, for me, it's like, it's lifting others. And the people I've always looked up to are those people who are helping others. And trying to, you know, bring everyone up.
And it's sometimes you realize, like, the people that don't have the expensive cars, the houses, but the people that help people the most are normally the happiest.
The happiest people.
You know, that's exactly. Like in a generic sense. Like a lot of times you see someone who's 60, 70 and they're just so happy and peaceful because they're like, I helped so many people. You know?
I believe 100%.
Like, subhanAllah. And the last thing is, what's like the worst advice you hear in your industry? You know, that's maybe we'll talk about fitness. You probably see a lot of fitness influencers on TikTok. But in general, like, regardless of TikToks, like, just in your industry, you know, or you hear people say.
The worst advice people say? So many different. I mean, overall in fitness, it's cutting carbs or cutting something that's natural.
Okay.
You know, with like a straight out, like, cut this.
Yeah.
You know, go keto, go cut carbs, cut this. This is how you do it. You know, a lot of fitness trainers, and the thing is, like, our industry is very competitive. Huge. And when it's competitive, people like to be the peacock of the room. Like, you know, I'm the smartest dude in the
Mm.
room. This is how you do it, you know. But the smartest guys I've talked to, people will be like, this is a way to do it. There's another way to do it.
Mm.
Maybe it's wrong. Maybe it's right. Maybe it's so the like that cut off, you know.
Because it's such a
Being so
competitive
strict.
market, people need to stand out.
Correct.
You know, like for example, we see with like soccer coaches all the time they're making up all these drills, like do a backflip and then do
And
a
then
pass. Like, there's no need for any of that stuff.
Definitely.
But that's what they do because like I need to stand out because if I said to be successful, you just need to do, for example, compound lifts. If you want to get strong, do compound lifts.
Yeah.
All the excessive movement, like remove the fluff. That's all it takes. It'll take 3 years to get healthy. No one's going to buy the program.
Of course.
But hey, you know, do an upside down plank and hold your body and eat creatine at the same time.
That's
It's
what sells.
Yeah.
It's true. And it's literally the basics. Even like when I'm working in the gym now, it's like I just bring it out to the basics.
Mm.
But what's going to speak for you is your results. Because the guy doing backflips is not going to get results. The guy doing the basics is going to get the results. You know, boxing, you know, I've had, you know, my fair share of like training in boxing and coaching and things like this. But some of the best boxing coaches, you go to old school boxing place.
Yeah.
Make you skip ab exercises, you spar, you do the drills a million times over. It's simple things over a long building habits, you know, and sticking to this, being consistent in habits that builds, you know, greatness or builds good quality stuff. No, you know, it's like, it's even in calligraphy, like you just repeat the same letter.
Mm.
See, if you're not committed to it, if you're just interested in it, you won't go far with it.
Sure.
You know, so like calligraphy, like if you don't appreciate, like if you can't do the alif 1 million times, then you're gonna get frustrated and just throw it away. You know, jiu-jitsu, I love jiu-jitsu because of the principle. Look, at the start of jiu-jitsu, when I started jiu-jitsu, I hated it
Yeah.
because I was like, these guys are just taking advantage of me. Like, you know, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
You know, and I used to strike and things like this. But then there's a guy named Pedro Sauer, amazing guy in jiu-jitsu. I had a seminar with him, changed my life.
Yeah.
Again, I saw his personality, how he built. He's 70-something years old. He's tapping at people. He's like, you use leverage. You understand. He understands so many components of jiu-jitsu that you can't beat him. He has too many tools in his bag, right? Then I understood, all right, it's about how you breathe. It's about space. It's about how to use leverage against the person. Then I started to love jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for so long now, on and off, and like, even like, so it's just sticking to something for long.
Exactly.
You know, jiu-jitsu is
it.
something that the mental side of it is just as hard as the physical.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, you've done calligraphy since you said you were 8. You've been into fitness
Yeah.
and like you're pretty good at it. Obviously, like compared to like you,
Okay.
because you're PT, you know,
Yeah.
like that's a skill or a hobby that alhamdulillah comes easy for you. I'm not too sure how you were at BJJ. How was it when you first got there to BJJ and you got probably tapped out by a 7-year-old or whatever? Like, how'd you cope with not being good at something compared to other areas in your life which you might have picked up much better?
It makes, I told you it was frustrating at the start.
Yeah.
But then it was like, I need to find like, what's the secret behind this, right? And when I trained, nothing worked. Like, it didn't work out. Like, it was like, still, you're telling me, because they teach you a technique. They're telling you, put your leg here, put your leg here, and do it. I go to do it to someone, it doesn't work.
Yeah. You need patience for
So
it.
until I found that, like, until I went to that seminar, that's what changed everything. And now, like, when I roll, like, I'm just a blue belt, but like, even when I roll, it's like, I know that I have an advantage on a lot of other people because of the principles. You know, sometimes I'm rolling, I'm just closing my eyes. People are like, what the hell are you doing? Feeling the person, feeling the connection to the body, feeling the ground.
That's disrespect.
Right? No, yeah, then close your eyes. You know, and I have like a good friend of mine. She started jiu-jitsu, right? And then now she's like, she went all in, but she was so structured. She knows all these moves and stuff like that. And so we were chatting the other day, and she's like, you know this move, because she's going for it. She's like, do you know this move? And I go, no. What about this move? No. And how you been doing it for so long? And I'm like, yeah, because like I know principles. I know how to do the thing, but I don't know the names of it.
It's
I
like
think it's
tajweed and
structured.
stuff.
Huh?
Like tajweed rules.
Yeah, it's like
sometimes you
tajweed.
don't have to know the actual name of the rule, but if you know tajweed, it's kind of
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
SubhanAllah. Jazakallah khairan for coming on, bro.
Yeah,
Honestly, it
thanks,
means a
guys.
lot.
It's been
It
amazing.
really
man.
does.
Appreciate it.
Where can people find you? Obviously, you said you on social media, Facebook.
On social media,
Yeah, because obviously you're going overseas, so just in case people want to keep
man,
it.
it's so funny. Is my Instagram still the O movement?
Yeah.
Yeah. TH. I've been off social media for a little bit. Well,
Okay.
I'll get back on.
Inshallah.
But inshallah. So on Instagram, and then OMVMNT, O movement.
Okay.
And that's
And
it.
inshallah
I'm
we'll-
mostly on Instagram.
Yeah, inshallah.
Inshallah,
we'll
if I end up doing this YouTube thing,
Yeah, get
Yeah.
back on
Yeah.
it.
Back
do,
inshallah.
we'll
on
promote
inshallah.
you anyway, and inshallah, if you come
Thanks so
down
much.
again, we can maybe make a YouTube video, go to the gym or something like that.
Definitely.
You know, maybe do
Yeah.
bouldering.
and
Get
bouldering,
Momo in.
bouldering.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alhamdulillah.
Looking
inshallah,
forward to that.
sounds good.
Thank you very much,
Appreciate it,
everyone, for
guys.
listening. Hope you guys had a nice New Year's Eve. Thank you guys also for letting us hit 2K subs.
Oh,
means a
beautiful,
lot.
mashallah.
So yeah, 2022. Thanks, guys.